Now, for more on this story, we've brought in the man best known possibly as the founder of Crikey.com.
Stephen May is, of course, also a shareholder activist, and he joins us now in the studio. Stephen May, good morning.
Good morning.
This is an unholy mess.
Look, I've never seen a debacle like it. Hundreds of people are going to lose their homes and be bankrupted if they're forced to pay up the shares. Macquarie Bank's probably going to drop $500 million. The Queensland government doesn't know if they've got a project. The corporate plod ASIC has finally entered the fray. Macquarie Bank's in dispute with Deutsche Bank. It's just amazing.
So how much sympathy have you got for the mum and dad shareholders who've been caught up in this mess?
Well, not a great deal. I've got 1,100 shares myself, so I'm going to have to pay out some money as well. But I thought it was reasonably well known that you had to pay an initial $1 and then you had to pay another $1 and then another $1.
That was made clear in the prospectus, was it?
Yeah, well, I think it was reasonably clear. It was in the press and these sort of things. But a lot of people sort of, oh, look, the shares are trading at 1 cent and they're paying a 5.5 cent dividend soon. So, geez, you can buy the shares on the cheap and you can get a 5 cent dividend straight away. And the word went around that the day traders and literally hundreds of mums and dads bought shares at 1 cent or 0.1 cent and bought themselves a liability which in the future will be 800 million. There's 800 million still to be paid.
But you haven't got a lot of sympathy for them.
Well, I mean, some of them are hard luck stories and they just sort of heard about it. But at the end of the day...
They should have known better?
Well, I think they should have known better, but I think so many sort of people have naively gone in and bought it that, you can understand why ASIC is now sort of stepping into the court action on their behalf and talking about whether the prospectus really did adequately disclose the risks involved.
Well, I mean, it was a disastrous initial offering, I think probably the most disastrous in Australia's corporate history. Has ASIC, in your view, taken too long to get involved?
Well, I think they've taken too long. They've sort of finally awoken from their slumber yesterday and they're taking over the actions of the small investors and they're starting to claim that maybe the prospectus didn't adequately explain the leverage involved. They're starting to ask questions about whether the shareholder vote next week should be a 75% approval or a 50% approval. So they're making serious sort of questions about the way Macquarie is running this and the way Macquarie's disclosed it, which I think is the biggest risk for Macquarie. It's all very well to have a young entrepreneur taking you on, but when the corporate plod starts saying...
Young Nicholas Bolton, yes.
Young Nicholas Bolton. But when the corporate plod starts saying, we think your prospectus might have been inaccurate, we think you're making inaccurate statements to unit holders, like the statement, I got a shareholder letter last week saying, even if the company's wound up, you'll still have to pay the money. And ASIC saying, well, hang on, we're not so sure about that. So, massive disagreements amongst the powerful players, not just the small, uninformed shareholders.
So what are the chances that the little shareholders will have to pay out this money, you think?
Well, I think that's still the most likely scenario. But, I mean, Nicholas Bolton has obviously got a resolution at a shareholders meeting coming up to say, defer the call and sack the manager. So it is a very live situation. And now that ASIC has intervened, I mean, I think at the end of the day, in this environment when everyone hates bankers, it will be politically impossible for Macquarie Bank to bankrupt hundreds of punters and take the money. So they will make a pragmatic decision. And I think that they will continue with the project. You can't let down the Queensland government, thousands of jobs, etc., etc. I think they'll end up just taking it on the chin and copping an initial loss of, say, 500 million. But at the end of the day, it will be a lucrative long-term toll road deal and they'll take a view that they write the cheque out now and they can make the money back over time.
So you think the road will be built, there'll be no threat to that and it'll be done reasonably on time? Well,
no one will trust Macquarie again if a government with infrastructure. They're the world's biggest owner of infrastructure projects.
Yes.
$200 billion. They've just sold the transmission towers through which our conversation is going out to your viewers. They are everywhere. Airports. They cannot be seen to sort of walk away and not deliver a $5 billion vital piece of infrastructure to a Labor government with Labor in government everywhere. Everyone's talking about jobs. I mean, it's just untenable for Macquarie's brand for this to fall over. The question is, how much will it cost them? I'm thinking it'll be sort of 400 or 500 million. And how damaging is it to their reputation? And will they ever be given another sort of tricked up toll road float where they do these fancy structures and people think they're getting a magnificent yield when they're not? There's too much debt. All that is dead. This is the last such sort of financially engineered infrastructure deal you'll see in Australia.
You've been ringing the bell on Macquarie Bank for a long time, but you might just be close this time.
We're going to go back to simple vanilla infrastructure funding in the future. No more bankers.
Stephen May, good to see you. Thanks so much.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.